Hello, I'm Emily Meserve, and this is going to be my first speech for public speaking class with Amy Fowler. And these are my viewers: Kelly Culpepper and Jake Germany. My name is Emily Dawn Meserve. I was born on July 18th, 1990. Emily is a Latin name deriving from the word emulus. It means rival, laborious, and eager. Emily is a very common name in English-speaking countries. It is also one of the most popular names in the United States. My parents named me Emily after my great-great-grandmother, Emily Louise Moore. My middle name, Dawn, was chosen by my parents simply because they liked the name Dawn. It is of Old English origin, and it simply means the first appearance of light. My last name, Meserve, is of French origin and originates from the Channel Islands. It means admiring and thoughtful. It is a very uncommon last name, and I've actually yet to meet anyone other than my family with that name. During the year I was born, 1990, the Cold War ended. It began in 1945 and was one of the longest wars the U.S. has ever been involved in. Despite being allies against the Axis powers and having the most powerful military forces among peer nations, the USSR and the U.S. disagreed about the configuration of the post-war world while occupying most of Europe. The Cold War featured periods of relative calm and of high tension. It includes the Berlin blockade, the Berlin crisis of 1961, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the Soviet War in Afghanistan. The U.S. was attempting to contain the spread of communism throughout Europe. The Cold War ended roughly in June once the Soviet Union and communism in the USSR collapsed. In June of 1990, Dr. Jack Kevorkian had assisted in his first of several people to commit suicide. Between 1990 and 1998, he assisted in the deaths of nearly 100 terminally ill people. The individuals themselves allegedly took the final action, which resulted in their own deaths. Kevorkian allegedly assisted only by attaching the individual to a device that he had made himself. The individual then pushed a button which released the drugs or chemicals that would end his or her own life. 2 deaths were assisted by means of a device which delivered the euthanizing drugs mechanically through an IV. Kevorkian called it a thanatron, also known as a death device. He was convicted of second-degree murder and spent 8.5 years in prison of his 10 to 25 year sentence. He is still alive to this day in his late 80s and is no longer allowed to practice any kind of medicine whatsoever. Also in 1990, the World Wide Web was created, along with a web browser and web pages. The World Wide Web is commonly known as www. The website that you're going to .com. This was proposed and published by Tim Berners-Lee with help from his friend Robert Caval. The terms Internet and World Wide Web are often used in everyday speech without much distinction. However, the Internet and the World Wide Web are not one and the same. The Internet is a global system of interconnected computer networks. In contrast, the web is one of these services that runs on the Internet. Access to the web is for everyone regardless of any type of disability. The World Wide Web soon became a universal system that everybody still enjoys to this day. So, as you can tell, the 1990 was a very interesting year, and not just because I was born. Thank you for listening to my speech.